English Story. Story 1. The Ugly Fairy. There was once a fairy who was learning how to be a fairy godmother. Most magic and wonderful, she was the kindest and cleverest of all fairies. However, she was also a very ugly fairy, and no matter how much she showed her wonderful qualities, it seems that everyone was determined to believe that the most important thing about a fairy was her beauty. In the fairy school, they ignored her, and every time she flew off a mission to help a child or anyone else in trouble, before she could say a word, they were already screeching and yelling at her, "Ugly, get out of here, weirdo." Despite her being little, her magic was very powerful, and more than once she had considered using it to make herself beautiful. But then she remembered what her mother had always told her. "My dear, you are what you are, warts and all, and never doubt that you are this way for a very special reason." But then, one day, the witches of neighboring land invaded and destroyed the country, pulling all the fairies and wizards in prison. Our fairy, just before being attacked, put a spell on her own clothes, and helped by her ugly face, she was able to follow the witches back to their den. Once there she used her magic to prepare a big party for everyone, decorating the cave with bats, toads, and spiders. The music was provided by a pack of howling wolves. While the party was in full swing, the fairy hurried off and set free all the fairies and wizards who had been imprisoned. When all of them were free, they worked together on one big spell which succeeded in trapping the witches inside the mountain for the next 100 years. And for the next 100 years and more, everyone remembered the great bravery and intelligence of the ugly fairy. And from that day on, no one in that land ever saw ugliness as a disgrace. Whenever someone ugly was born, people were filled with joy, knowing that for that new person great things lay ahead. Story 2. The Magic Window. Once upon a time, there was a little boy who became very ill. He had to spend all day in bed, unable to move. Because other children weren't allowed to come near him, he suffered greatly and spent his days feeling sad and blue. There wasn't much he could do except look out of the window. Time passed, and his feeling of despair just grew, until one day he saw a strange shape in the window. It was a penguin eating a sausage sandwich. The penguin squeezed in through the open window, said, "Good afternoon," to the boy, turned around, and left again. Of course, the boy was very surprised. He was still trying to work out what had happened when outside his window he saw a monkey in a nappy busy blowing up a balloon. At first, the boy asked himself what that could possibly be, but after a while, as more and more crazy looking characters appeared out of the window, he burst out laughing and found it hard to stop. Anyone wanting to stop laughing would never be helped by seeing a pig playing a tambourine, an elephant jumping on a tambourine, or a dog wearing a pair of glasses and talking about nothing except politics. The little boy didn't tell anyone about this because who would have believed him? Even so, those strange characters ended up putting joy back in his heart and in his body. Before long, his health had improved so much that he was able to go back to school again. There he got to walk to his friends and tell them all the strange things he had seen. While he was talking to his best friend, he saw something sticking out his friend's school bag. The boy asked his friend what it was, and he was so insistent that finally his friend had to show him what was in the bag. There, inside, were all the fancy dress suits and disguises that his best friend had been using to try to cheer the little boy up. And from that day on, the little boy always did his best to make sure that no one felt sad and alone.